Hello, this is Audrie Gordon, and I'd like to welcome you to the 8th day of the Dataverse Advent Calendar. Today we'll talk about table relationships, and this is important as you plan your tables and your solutions. You need to ensure that the relationships between the table are well configured. So just to define what I mean by table relationships define the different ways table records can be associated with records from other tables. So think of my account table or my company table will relate to other tables in the sense that many people who are contacts for that company, they are related to that company. Many different requests for change that we may get related to that company may come through our forms. So we need to think of that table that has all the data about the requested change. That's one table that relates to the account. Then we have the contacts. We may have appointments. All these different types of things are in different tables because we don't keep everything in one big table. That wouldn't be a good idea. We basically separate things down into tables and we relate them to one another. The three common relationships that you will often hear about is one to many, and sometimes people write this like you see here, one to n, because we don't know what that n, so that represents a number, but we don't know how many things there are, so we just say one to many or one to n, unknown number. Right? And that goes both ways. So there's a one to many, and then there's a many to one, where you just switch that. All right? And basically, they're the same relationship. It just depends on where you are. Are you in the one table, or are you in the many table? Depends on where you are. So think of the account to customer, or the account tables to contacts. The account table is the one, right? That's the one table that relates to many contacts. So that would be one to many. But if I was inside the contacts table, the relationship that I will see is a many to one through a lookup. And this is because now I'm in the many table. And so the way I will see that relationship is the inverse, or the many to one, usually through a lookup. And then the other one that we hear less about is the many to many. So in a many to many table relationship, many table records are associated with many other table records. So records that are related through an end-to-end table relationship are considered peers. And I think of a good example was think of students to classrooms, right? So it's not a one-to-many because you have more than one student associated with a classroom. And it's not a one-to-many really, because it's not a many-to-one either, because a classroom can be associated to any number of students, and it's not a one-to scenario. And so it's a many-to-many, many students to many classrooms. All right? So you see it less often. It usually is going to have a table in the middle of it, kind of bringing it together. And that table in the middle could be a hidden table through the system of the CDM, or it could be one that you create that serves as like the mediator between these many to many tables to help with the schema. But we're not going to worry too much about that today, although please look at the resources I will provide in the description below. Now, no matter what type of relationship you're creating, you need to think about some important things. And that's what's over here, right? So since there is a relationship with these tables, then how should the relationship respond when a change is made? So, for instance, this first one here, when I delete a record, should any records that are related to that record also be deleted? So if I delete a customer, should we also delete the contacts associated with that customer? This is a question, because in Dataverse, you have a decision to make, but you can do either. You can do nothing, or you can have some type of a cascading effect, which I'm going to show you. Then second thing is, When I assign a record to a new owner, because remember with tables, records have owners, do I also have to assign all related records to the new owner? So do I have to go into all those related tables and highlight all those records and assign them separately in addition to assigning the parent record to the new owner? Thirdly, how can I streamline the data entry process when I create a new related record in the context of existing record? So if someone is already in an account, in a customer screen, right? They're looking at the customer's account screen, right? What would make it easy from a data entry perspective for them to create that related record and kind of automatically keep that relationship visible so that it's clear that there is a relationship there. Even for that brand new record, it gets related to the parent. All right. In other words, if I add a new something, right, a new contact or a new contract or whatever, it should be associated to the parent record that I'm looking at in context. And then finally, how should people who view a record be able to view the related records? And there's many ways to do this in Dataverse, especially because you have the options of a model-driven app, a custom page, or a Power Apps app. But I do want to point out that we're going to start, like in about 2 days, building apps. And so a lot of the options you have for how people will view related records will come out in the creation of these 3 different types of apps we're going to create together. So look forward to that. We don't have to talk too much about that today. All right, just to kind of point out these places where you'll see this. Whenever you're in a table hub, you will always have the new drop down. Notice that the new drop down offers you a whole bunch of different things that you can create new related to that table, one of which is relationship. And you'll see the 3 that we talked about: many to one, one to many, and many to many. So just remember, many contacts are associated to one account, one customer has many invoices, and many students are associated with many classrooms. Now, 2 other places where this will show up, FYI, and I will add details in the description on these 2, is in the area of alternate keys. You might create your own primary key for data that you're bringing in, and that key might involve 2 columns or more from the source table, and then you can map it to one of the columns in the table in question. And then also another place you'll see this is in when you're importing data flows, and we will have a day where we'll talk about what's a data flow and how that can help you. In Dataflow, you're bringing in data into Dataverse, and sometimes you want to map your data that's coming from somewhere else to your tables in Dataverse in such a way that the relationships are maintained. And you'll do that by leveraging the key of the table it's coming into. So we'll get to talk about some of that, but for today I just wanted you to be aware of what a relationship is and basically where you see this in the product and how you can just pay attention. It's really much easier than it sounds. Like a lot of people think of relationships as complicated. It's a very easy thing. It's not that complicated. It's no more complicated than what I said. Accounts have many contacts, students have many classrooms, many students have many classrooms, and so on. Just keeping in mind how data relates to the parent is always important. When I say parent, I mean the table that's on the one side. Okay, let's go look at this. All right, so here I am in Dataverse, and I'm looking at the account table in Dataverse. And you'll notice if I click on relationships here, you'll see that out of the box, the common data model is going to create relationships within the account table to other things. And you can kind of look at this. If I sort this A to Z, for instance, you can see where the account relationships are. And you'll even note that there are some relationships to itself, which is an advanced topic, but we can talk about it one day. Right now you can see that there's action cards, there's activities regards to this, there's appointments, there's contacts we talked about, there's contracts, there's all these different things which are automatically related to the account table when you add it to your tenant. Now you'll see that I've added one. So here I have one for requests here, which means that every time I create a new request, it could be related to one account, right? And so therefore that one account can have many requests, all right? And I've actually done that for a request table, which is a form that they fill out to request change. And that always relates to the parent account, right? And in that case for requests, it's about the contractor, because my accounts in that scenario are contractors or design engineers. So the account table is divided up into contractors, design engineers, public agencies, and so forth. But the requests are always related to the account business type of contractor. All right, now if I wanted to make a new relationship to this table, I could just click this up here. Since this is, in my mind, kind of a parent relationship, it's probably going to be one-to-many. And so if I wanted to make a relationship between this and, say, the inspections table that I made the other day, so I have a table called inspection. So now I'm saying there's one customer to many inspections, and I want to track that. And that's really all I have to do is just new relationship, what table, it already gives it to me, and then what table are you relating the mini side to? Just look at the dialogue, it explains it. You even have a learn more here in case you want more information, but this is super easy peasy, right? An important area I want to point out here is the advanced options, which have to do with those things we have to think about, right? What do you want to happen, or how do you want things to cascade when you make changes? So like if you delete this account, right, or you change ownership, which should be the behavior? And by default, it's referential, and all deletions will remove links, right? Like take custom. So if I take the custom behavior, it just gives you a chance to see all of the behaviors under the idea of referential. There's cascade all, which kind of means if I delete this account, delete everything related to it. If I assign this account to someone, assign everything related to it. So cascade down. So you're just cascading, which means flowing through the relationship so that the relationships pick up that change, right? You even have share and unshare and then reparent. All right. So these are your things you want to think about. All right. That's about all I really need to talk to you about with relations. I really just wanted you to understand primarily what they are and where you see them, and then kind of give you a heads up that you need to think about when changes are made to these relationships, how should they cascade down to the related tables. All right. Okay, let's just jump back to the deck and just remind you that this is easier than it looks. Relationships, they're all about managing the relationship between tables versus people. There are really only 3 types you have to worry about: most, or many to one, or one to many. And many to one you're going to use a lot, and you're going to just simply set that via a lookup. All right. Then as you get more advanced, you'll start understanding how to use alternate keys, which I'll give you a video to my peer Yasen recorded. I'll give you a video to his video, a link to his video. And then also when you importing data, you have to think about mapping these keys and so forth so that you get your relationships maintained. All right, that's it for day 8. I'll be seeing you tomorrow for the 9th day of the Dataverse Advent Calendar. And I'll give you a tip. Next 3 days are going to be very exciting, so don't miss it. I'll be talking to you soon.